This is VFL Weekly Wrap for round 11. It was a busy week. Now the games. GWS defeated Northern Bull Ants by 103 points at Blacktown, 23-12, 150 to 7-5-47. The Bull Ants player Jean-Luc Velsaris, 37 possessions, 11 marks and a goal. The Giants player Mark Sheether, 23 possessions, 11 tackles, 10 clearances. The Bull Ants have lost 5 games by 99 points or over. Another horrible loss for them. GWS, they lead them head-to-head 3-0. Our game at Beaconsfield saw a close game. Richmond defeated strugglers Sydney by 5 points, 8-16-64 to 9-5-59. Sydney had 12 more free kicks. Richmond had 22 more inside 50s. Sydney stormed home, but it wasn't enough. Sydney have lost 7 in a row. Big result here, Ipswich. Williamstown belted Brisbane up there by 56 points. 21-10-136 to 12-8-80. Brodie McLaughlin and Blake Coleman both kicked 5 goals for the Seagulls. Willie are flying now. They're the form team of the competition. They've won 5 in a row. Now, Box Hill City Oval. Box Hill belted Frankston by 63 points. 21-9-135 to 10-12-72. Henry Huswaite for the Hawks. 33 possessions, 11 clearances. Ned Reeser-Ruckman, 45 hitouts, 8 clearances and a goal. Despite the loss, Frankston kicked 10 goals and only had 2 goal kickers. Noah Gown kicked 7 goals. Corey Ellison kicked 3. Amazing. Get this. Box Hill have won the last 18 games against Frankston. So Frankston failing the test there. Another big result at Chirnside Park. North Melbourne belted Werribee by 41 points. 13-7-85 to 6-8-44. Will Phillips for North Melbourne. 22 possessions. 21 tackles if you don't mind. Jack Riding for Werribee. 33 possessions. 8 marks. Don Brew again. 30 possessions. 15 clearances. Now Zach Banch played his first game for North Melbourne against his old side Werribee. And what did he do? He kicked 3 goals. I don't know about the mid-season draft, but I think that stinks to high heaven, I reckon. You've taken one of the best players out of that club, and then you're playing against that club with a stronger club, and that ends up being the difference. I don't like it, but there's nothing you can do about it, because players are chasing their AFL dream, and good luck to him. But it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. That's the first time North Melbourne have beaten Werribee at Chirnside Park in 5 attempts. Now, Geelong beat Gold Coast at Cardinia Park by 3 points, 10-12-72 to 11-3-69. Ned Moore, 21 possessions, 63 hitouts, 11 clearances. Gold Coast kicked the last 6 goals, but they couldn't catch Geelong in time. Head-to-head is 1-1. It was a busy week. I went to 3 games this week. 2 of them on Saturday. The first one was at Coburg City Oval between Footscray and Coburg. This promised to be an absolute belter of a game. Well, disappointed in the end because Footscray smashed Coburg by 44 points. 17-9-111 to 9-13-67. Footscray kicked 5 goals to 2 in the first quarter. 5 goals to 1 in the second quarter. It was pretty much over at half time. It was all over. Coburg kicked 4 goals 8 to 4 goals 1 in the third quarter. And Footscray 3 goals 2 in the last quarter. It was an even second half. The major goal kicks for Footscray, Caleb Poulter and Will Lewis kicked 4 each. Cameron Owen and Lockie Jacques kicked 2 each. For Coburg, free plays kicked 2 goals. Mitch Pajaski, Ingo Damersmith and Jack Bytel. The possessions, Cooper Hines for Footscray, 31 possessions, 9 clearances and a goal. Jed Bustlinger again, 26 possessions, 10 marks. What does he have to do to get into the AFL? He is way too good for that competition. Just dominated. Cooper Craig Peters again had a good game. 22 possessions, 11 clearances. He's had a great year. Now for the Burgers, Jack Bytel, he's been outstanding this year. 34 possessions, 11 clearances and 2 goals. Flint Gentile had 32 possessions. Coburg had one more possession. They had laid 22 more tackles, 11 more clearances, but Footscray had 13 more inside 50s. Now the wind was blowing till the Brunswick end. It's probably worth 2 or 3 goals. Overcast. It didn't rain during the game, but it rained in the morning and after that. The ground was in good condition. It was cold, very cold. It was a good crowd actually, considering the weather conditions. Now Footscray kicked against the wind, and that was pretty much it. They just bossed Coburg. And then Footscray had the wind and used it. Coburg, the game was over by then. They were 7 goals down at half time, but they kicked 4 goals 8. So they just couldn't get closer. They led from start to finish. They bossed Coburg. They were bigger, fitter, well prepared, more skillful. Coburg getting a reality check. They just weren't good enough. They had the match won at half time. Now Footscray lead head-to-head 9-2 against Coburg. They've won their last 8 against them. So Footscray will be one of the teams to beat if they have all their players playing. Now Saturday night at the Whitton Oval, Casey beat Collingwood by 9 points, 7-15-57 to 7-6-48. Casey was a rubbish first quarter. Casey led 1 goal free to 1 point at quarter time. Casey kicked 2 goals free to 2-1 in the second. Then they kicked 2-5 to 1-3 in the third. The game came to light in the last quarter, but it was too late for Collingwood. They kicked 4-1 to 2-4. Mason Cox was the only player that kicked 2 goals for either team. So he was playing for Collingwood. Now for Casey, leading possessions, Riley Bonner, 35 possessions, 9 marks. Mitch Hardy, 30 possessions and a goal. Jack Billings, 30 possessions and a goal. For Collingwood, Harry Dematia, 27 possessions. Tom Mitchell, 25. Brady Gray, 23 possessions. They were all kicks. Collingwood had 3 more possessions, 16 more free kicks, 33 to 17. Casey, they had 17 more hitouts and 13 more clearances. Casey were in front all the way. They deserved a win. Good atmosphere under lights at the Whitton Oval. If you haven't been, I recommend it. Great sight. There was rain, light rain. There was consistent rain, but not very heavy, but it made conditions tougher. Very cold. It was actually a pretty poor crowd there, which is understandable because it was freezing. Now the first goal of the game was 21 minutes in. The first quarter. Collingwood's first goal didn't come till 9 minutes of the second quarter. Casey led by 25 points, 22 minutes in the third quarter. Collingwood kicked 4 in a row, including the first 3 of the last quarter to get within 2. 18 minutes in the last quarter. And then Jack Billings, he kicked the clutch goal. And it was pretty much it. Casey have won their last 3 games. They lead Collingwood head-to-head 19-6. They're in the top 10. The other game I went to because something fell through on Sunday, so I managed to go to this game at Windy Hill. Carlton-Essendon, the 2 rivals. Carlton beat them by 18 points at Windy Hill. 10-12, 72 to 8-6, 54. Essendon 4-1 to 3-5 at quarter time. But then the match it was just tough and low scoring after that. Second quarter was horrible. Essendon 1 goal, 2-2 behinds. Carlton 3-2 to 2-3 in the third. And Carlton dominated the last quarter, 4-3 to 1 goal. Now, 3 Carlton players kicked 2 Carlton players kicked 2 goals. Harry Lemmy and Francis Evans. For Essendon, Liam McMahon, he kicked 3, playing his first game for his new side against his old team. Amazing. For Carlton, Ben Camporelli, 32 possessions, 10 clearances, 1 goal. Ruckman Mark Pinane, 21 possessions, 41 hitouts. For Essendon, Jackson Hately, 30 possessions, 10 clearances, 1 goal. Alia Sardis, 28 possessions. Solomon McKay, 27 possessions. Well, it was a miserable day at Windy Hill. Sun did not break out at any stage. It was dark, overcast. consistent rain. The ground looked it got chopped up, but it was still in very good condition. Mate, the crowd there yesterday was excellent because the AFL teams played later on at the G. Very good crowd. Essendon looked like they were slightly on top, but then as the game wore on, Carlton they were a much better team. Essendon, they got too many injuries, and Carlton managed to get one up against their rivals. Very cold this week in the footy, but some of the action wasn't bad. All right now, I won't worry about the goal kickers. It's just I wait another couple of weeks before I tell you who's in front because it's pretty tight. Now the ladder, there's 21 teams. I reckon that top 13 are in the finals race. The other 8 teams, the rest of them, they can forget about it. They're not making it. I don't care what anyone says, they're not making it. Box Hill 32, Sharks are 30, GWS and Richmond 28, North Melbourne doing well, they're 26. Footscray, Williamstown, Collingwood, Brisbane all 24. Casey at 22. Now Coburg, Werribee, Frankston all lost on the weekend. Costly losses for them. They're all outside the top 10 now, they're all 20 points. I can't see anyone under them getting in there. Jeez, I'm just thinking that top 10 could be set, I reckon. I think that's going to be... But there's plenty of football because we're just past the halfway mark, so it's fascinating. Now the games for round 12. There's 8 games. 5 teams have to bye, won't mention them. The game on Friday night, Frankston Footscray should be interesting. There's 5 games on Saturday. The one I'm going to, Werribee Geelong at Chirnside. I'm giving Werribee one last chance. They stuff this game up. They're done. Sandringham at home against the Sharks. That's at Moorabbin. Arden Street, North Melbourne play Port Melbourne. Should be interesting. Coburg, Box Hill. Now, at North Port Oval, under lights, the TV game. Casey against Essendon. I might go to that one. There's 2 games on Sunday. A good one here. Brisbane, GWS. The Northern Bullens play Carlton at Preston City Oval. I don't know if I'll go to that. Teams making the moves in the season. I should at least go to 2 games next week. Should be another belter. See you next week.